ECBC. I go here, and I wanted to share a couple things that have been happening recently for me, and how God's been working in my life. So the topic today is called Blessed to Bless Others, Turning Gratitude into Generosity. What a great title. Thank you, ChatGPT. I like it so much. Let's actually turn to the person next to you. Sorry, introverts, you're going to be screaming inside. And let's say to them, turn to the person next to you and let them know, you are blessed to bless others. Go ahead, say it to them.
You are blessed to bless others.
Oh yeah, that's an audience participation.
You are blessed to bless others.
Now turn to the other person next to you and tell them an even easier line. You are blessedly blessed to bless brothers blessingly in blessed ways.
You're blessedly blessed to bless brothers in blessingly blessed ways.
Turn back to the first person you saw, and then here's an even harder one. You can turn gratitude into generosity.
You can turn gratitude into generosity.
And then turn back one more time. I promise, last one. Easiest one. You are blessedly blessed to generate generosity gestures to Jack, George, and Joel. Close enough. All right. Anyways, story time. So what happened was I have a friend named Elliot. And Elliot went to this park, and he parked his car, and he went and did his thing, and he came back to his car, okay? When he came back to his car, he was driving, and he was like, oh, there's kind of a strong breeze. It's a little bit chilly. So what do? You pull up the windows. But then as he's still driving, he's like, wait, there's still a breeze even though I pulled up the windows. Why is it still cold? He looks in the rear view mirror, and he sees that his car window is shattered. Someone threw a brick in there and just like broke in. But the worst part was, he looked into the back seat to look for his backpack, and it was stolen. There was $6,000 worth of tech gear in there. Fortunately, he had Apple tracking gizmos, and so he could actually see the backpack making its way down Kingsway towards East Hastings. And so he was like, oh, what do I do? Call 911. So, 911, what's your emergency? He's like, someone stole my backpack. I can literally see them going down to like downtown. Can you help me? And then apparently cops don't do anything unless they stop or like enter into a building. And so they're like, but you can go after them if you want. And they hung up. And he's like, all right. So Mission Impossible style, he's like tracking the bag, he's driving, and he makes his way to downtown. And so at this point, he's pretty upset, rightfully so. And he's going, and he's really close now. So he parks his car, gets out of his car, and he sees it's only like a couple hundred meters away. Turns a corner, and he sees this homeless guy with his backpack. And now he's like really mad. He's gonna confront this guy. But as he's approaching, what he experienced was he actually felt like this sense of peace come upon him strangely. And he heard like this strange, it's hard to explain, but a voice in the back of the head that said something like, show this guy love. Show this guy who I am. And so he sensed that this must have been like God speaking to him. And so then he went up to this guy and he said, hey, like, that's my bag. And so the homeless guy's like, no, it's mine. Like, he gives him a hard time. And then Elliot, instead of like retaliating, he's like, hey, you know what, man? Like, your day must have been really difficult if you had to resort to stealing a bag. Like, what can I do for you today to make your day better? And so the guy, he's like, honestly, I'm pretty hungry. Can you buy me a meal? And so Elliot's like, of course. So he buys him a meal. And then Elliot asks him, is there anything else I can do? How else can I bless you today? And then the guy says, well, actually, like, I really need like money for these reasons. And Elliot says, say less. Goes to the ATM, pulls out $200, and he's like, how about I give you this? And then I get my bag back. Sure enough, he got it back. One more time, Elliot says, how else can I bless you today? And then at this point, the guy, he just broke down, and he's just like crying in front of Elliot. And he says, like, how can you treat me this way? All I did to you was, I just did you wrong, but you're so kind to me. Like, man, can you, like, I don't deserve this. Can you ever forgive me, actually, is what he said. And then this is what Elliot said next. He said, I've already forgiven you. You know, like, I want you to know that I like really care about you. I want the best for you. I love you like my own brother, man. And what you're seeing here, like, it's just grace. It's just a gift. It's not something you deserve, but it's just something that's like freely given to you and you can just accept it. And that was really helpful for me to hear when Elliot was sharing that story with me, because it helped me understand like what grace meant. We say these words oftentimes in the church of like grace and all these Christian terms, but like what did it really mean? That really helped shape it for me. And so I actually wanted to take it a step further and explain it even further for you guys. So I have this really cool analogy to do so. So imagine, let's say there's a guy who just like gets out of prison and he gets a phone call from like an old friend of his. And his friend says, hey man, I heard you got out. I want to bless you. Like, come over. We have like a place for you to stay. We've got your friends and family are here. A job is lined up. You have like all the finances you need. Like everything here is taken care of for you. In fact, even the train ticket and the plane ticket, everything is booked. You just need to accept this gift from me. And so this is sort of the display of grace as well. It's like this guy didn't do anything to deserve this gift coming out of prison, but all he needed to do was have the faith to believe something he couldn't see right in front of him, that there was this promise, this gift over on this other side. He just needed to accept that, step on the train or the plane, and then make his way over. So that's sort of the idea of the Christian faith that was really well explained to me by Elliot. And so basically what the Bible says is, there's a verse, it's a really well-known one. It says, for by grace you have been saved through faith, that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works. So really what this means is, the grace, it's a gift. It was a gift given by Jesus, and who Jesus was basically God who came down in the form of man, but he was still fully God. He lived a perfect life, and basically as human beings, we've all fallen short of God's standard. And what the Bible teaches is, if you fall short of the standard, then the wages of sin is death. In other words, you actually, you won't have a seat in heaven in eternal life. But in order for somebody, for us to be having that seat in heaven, somebody else needs to take that punishment for us, which is Jesus. And that's what he did on the cross by dying for the wrongdoings that we did. And then by accepting that and putting our faith in Jesus, that's basically then how we have a seat in heaven as well. So that's really the idea of Christianity, and something really quickly I wanted to share with you that was explained to me really well that day. I'll mention one more thing here as well. That's a really common question that I get. So I mentioned Jesus lived the perfect life. This part's really important as well, because when I have conversations with my friends, they'll often tell me, you know, with Christians, they say they believe one thing, and they live a life that's totally different. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, aren't they such hypocrites? And so I'll tell them, honestly, you are so right. But let me explain it to you this way, and let me know what your thoughts are. Imagine we have Mozart. He's a composer of music, and let's say he composes a beautiful piece. Let's say Sonata number 1. And so with this piece, Mozart composed it beautifully, but let's say there's like a really bad piano player, like myself. I'm not very good at piano. And I play this piece terribly. Then for playing this piece terribly, who do we blame? Is it Mozart or is it myself? You would blame myself. It's not Mozart that played it bad or wrote a piece that's bad. It's myself that represented Mozart's perfect piece terribly. And so in the same way, Jesus is perfect. He lived a perfect life, but often his representatives, his followers, even they can be very fallen and they fall short as well. And it just shows, honestly, that everybody needs Jesus. It's not just those who don't know him. So all this being said, when Elliot was telling us this, I really resonated with his story, because what his story entailed was like a homeless ministry, helping out homeless people. And it really connected with something I was listening to at the time, where a preacher was telling us this story of Abraham. And so in a book called Genesis 12, you see this line. So Abraham's this guy who got insanely blessed. It says something like, I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So this is really interesting. Abraham was chosen by God to be very blessed, but didn't just stop there. In fact, it was more like it got into Abraham and it flowed to others. Abraham, when he got blessed, it was almost like he had this treasure, and he was looking to his left, he was looking to his right for other people that he could bless. The idea is you are blessed so that you can bless others. And so that's one of the main things I wanted to share with you for us to take away, and just ask ourselves, what are some of those things that we are blessed with? What are some of those things that we can recognize? And then, how can I then look to my left, look to my right, to then flow that blessing on forward? And so that's really the two main questions I wanted to ask. And so we can take some time this Thanksgiving season, I think, to think about this. Now, back to the story. So basically, Elliot shares that story with myself and another guy named Ethan, myself and Elliot. The three of us decide, yeah, you know, we are blessed. We have more than enough in North America, and we want to then look at who are the people around us that could use some help. So we decided on Halloween actually, 2024, October 31st, so almost a year from now, just a few weeks away, we decided we're gonna get a bunch of McDoubles and then go down to the streets and just bless people. So that's what we did. We got a bunch of burgers from McDonald's, and then we just started going to the streets and we just asked people, hey, are you hungry? Is there anything I can pray for you? What's your story? Like, how did you end up here? Is there any healing I can pray for? We just started praying. And sure enough, the first couple, we did this over and over again for a handful of months, and it was great. It was really good. But after some time, what happened was I started feeling like I was doubting it. I was like, how long am I supposed to do this for? It's not the easiest thing to do, and it's not the most comfortable thing to do. So I remember thinking to myself, I've done it for about half a year or so now. Do I keep going or can I just stop? So I started to stray away from it a little bit. I would skip a month or two, and then I would just go back to my comfortable day-to-day life, almost thinking to myself, I did it enough times, I should be okay now. But I remember one time I was looking for something in my room, and I was like, trying to find it, and I was like, maybe it's under my bed. So I get on my knees, I'm looking, and I realized, wait a minute, I actually hadn't consulted God whether I should stay in this thing or not. I was just thinking to myself, I'm gonna stay away now. I'm gonna start going less and less. But I realized I'm already on my knees, I might as well pray. So it was almost like God in that moment brought me to my knees and gave me a reminder, hey, why don't you consult the creator of the universe, the guy who knows you better than yourself? So then I prayed. I asked him, God, I have full trust that you know exactly what's best for my life, that you're in the driver's seat of my life, and I trust that whatever your plan is for me is good. So can you show me? Would you like me to stay in this ministry, helping the homeless people, or would you like me elsewhere, doing other good things? So I prayed that prayer, and this is what happened next. A few weeks later, I get invited to go to this Christian business event, where I had a chance to meet other Christian business owners. And I was thinking the day before I was supposed to go, even that morning, I was like, man, I'm just so tired, so busy, should I go? I could just miss this one, go to the next one. I was really contemplating it. But then a friend of mine told me, where there's people, there's opportunity. At least just show up. So I was like, okay, I'll at least show up. So I showed up, and then sure enough, it was great. I met a bunch of different business owners, it was really cool. But there was one guy in particular, his name is David Robertson, and he's a chef and the owner of a cooking school and restaurant. It's called The Dirty Apron. I'm just curious to know, has anybody heard of The Dirty Apron? Good amount of people. So he's the owner of this business, and I was really just impressed by how he lives his life, the character he embodies, and his demeanor. So I just told him I'd love to just go for coffee. Maybe we can set up a time. So then a few days later, we meet up for coffee. And even that day, when I was supposed to meet for coffee, that morning I was just like, I really don't want to go. I have so many other things to do, but I think God might be telling me to go to this, so I'll go. So then I went. And when I met with Chef David, instead of really talking about things I thought we were going to talk about, immediately he just starts sharing about how he has a heart for giving to the people in that area. And his kitchen is sort of like Chinatown area, so it's a lot of the downtown east side. And then I was like, oh, well, actually, I kind of do something similar. I'm not sure if I'll stay with it or not, but basically for us, we try to give food out and share the gospel as well. And we were actually looking for a kitchen because we decided, up to this point, we've been getting the Costco hot dogs and McDoubles, but if I had a friend come over to my home, I wouldn't just buy them Costco hot dogs. I would cook them a homemade meal, a delicious, healthy one, that's really personalized, so that I can show hospitality. Why am I not doing the same for those that are homeless? Just because they're homeless, that doesn't make sense. So we decided we were trying to increase our hospitality through the ministry as well. And so after I shared this, Chef David actually stopped me, and he said, come with me. And so I said, okay, sure. He showed me the front reception area, he showed me the dining area, he showed me the fridge, the parking lot, and he actually ended up showing me the kitchen as well. So here's a video of the kitchen. It helps that the kitchen, the restaurant is a cooking school, so it has so many units. And so after he shows me this, he stops, he looks at me, and he just goes, so when do you want to use my kitchen? And I was like, I met you for about 5 minutes a couple days ago, and then I talked to you for about a couple seconds today. How can you trust me? You don't even know who I am. How can you trust that I can use this? And then he told me this. He said, a lot of people ask to use my space. Even people in my own church, to be honest. But I spend enough time with God, and I know when he wants me to do something. And he wants me to tell you that you should be using my kitchen. And so oftentimes people will say, how does God speak to you? I think this is one of the ways. He loves to use people. And I heard God's voice through Chef David. And so I was just blown away. David then continued on. He's like, I'm going to give you my PIN code eventually and a set of keys. You come and do your work that you need. This kitchen doesn't belong to me. It belongs to somebody else. I report to him. And I'm just simply a manager of it. So I was like, wow, okay. That was a pretty clear sign for me. I'm supposed to stay in this thing. So I was like, okay, let me double down into this. A few days later as well, I then spoke with the pastor. And the pastor told me this as well. This was pretty heartwarming for me to hear. He told me, when you look at the life of Jesus, he did a lot of miracles, and he healed a ton of people. But what's really interesting is he didn't have to physically touch people to heal them. We know this, for example, from the centurion's daughter. Quick story is basically a guy comes up to him and he says, my daughter is sick. Jesus just tells him, you have faith, go home, and your daughter's going to be healed. He didn't even have to look at the daughter, and sure enough, she got healed. But Jesus actually would touch lepers. He would hug them. He would physically touch them. And so clearly he didn't need to, but maybe he wanted to, because these are people that are contagious with the skin disease, and so he wanted to show affection. So what the pastor told me was, you're entering into a ministry where there's displaced people who also maybe don't get an affectionate, loving touch. Why don't you go touch these souls and show who Jesus is by loving them? And so I went, okay, this is confirmation for me. This is how God spoke to me. So then fast forward, this is now what we do. We run this kitchen once a month, where we make about 200 meals or so. We found multiple funding sources. Honestly, it felt effortless, just because so many people are willing to help. We have liability systems in place as well, in case things go wrong. And just from our last outing alone, 5 people decided to give their life to Christ. The day before that, 8 people decided to give their life to Christ. From this alone as well, in the last couple of months, one person went through UGM, which is this nonprofit organization to help people get clean. They went through their 6-month rehabilitation program. They were hooked on drugs. They no longer are. They have a job. They have a place to stay. And they're completely off drugs. And they have a cell phone. They have dignity, basically. And another person just a couple weeks ago also decided, hey, you know what? You've been following up for some time. I will give this a shot. Let me try to get clean. So he decided to go in as well. And so when Elliot and we look at the ministry, we were just originally doing this out of sheer obedience, to be honest. We weren't expecting results. And so we were just, going out because we're called to help the least of society. We're called to meet the physical needs and the spiritual needs. But what we see as a result of this is something we could have never imagined. And so for me personally, and a lot of the people around us, we're noticing our attitude is changing as well. To be totally honest, I grew up more scared of homeless people and wanted to avoid them, not going anywhere near them. But I noticed gradually, I was like, wow, these are people that have a story. These are people that are misunderstood. These are people that have the exact same value as I do. And these are people who often just need a hug. And so I just noticed wow, I'm just so broken for them, and my attitude started to change. Volunteers would come, and during their first session with us, we would see that the smiles light up from all our street friends, but the volunteers afterwards would tell me, it's wow, I feel so encouraged. I feel like I'm going out and really doing God's work. I feel like I'm seeing Jesus in my life more clearly, even though they were the ones serving. And so here's just a few other photos as well, just the group, and then we often make burritos. Oh, there's Sarah. And then here's us praying, giving the food out. There we go. And so, really just to wrap up here, in terms of our call to action, there's many people that call themselves or identify themselves as homeless in Vancouver, and over 16,000 individuals who are fed through the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. So we see a big need here. So our vision is very simple: to see displaced lives restored through the faithful, tangible love of Christ and his resurrection. And so our encouragement is, if you see this as a calling or some sort of nudge for you to explore, then here are the different volunteer opportunities basically that you could consider. So we have the Day of Street Ministry, which is us going out, and our primary focus is sharing the gospel. The means in which we do this is by bringing them their physical needs, which is often through food. We also then need help shopping for food and for clothes. And we also go door knocking as well, asking people if they have donations. So we just need help shopping. And then cooking is a big one as well. So we often will be making about 200 plus meals. If this is the case, we need bodies in the kitchen. if you're interested in that, that's an opportunity as well. And then the two other ways are going to be through financial donations and prayer, of course. And so really, when I think about the Street Friends, my desire is that, not just for Street Friends, but really everyone I meet, I want them to know that there's a God that's greater than addiction, that's greater than homelessness and hopelessness, that they are loved by this God, that they are cared for, that God knows every single pain that they go to, and he collects every single teardrop in a jar, and it doesn't go accounted for. And one day he is going to give a reason for every single one of them. And that Jesus died for them individually, that they know that God knows every single hair that's on their head. They know him so well, even before the world was created. And Jesus died for them so they can have a spot in heaven as well. This is the good news I hope to share with them. And anyone here as well, if they haven't accepted Jesus, I absolutely encourage you to just chat with the person who invited you today as well. Thank you for listening.